Hello, Carly. So here's the ridiculous thing. Is like we're only like 15 minutes from each other, 20 minutes from each other, but we're still doing this on video chat because we are. So I
Because
thought
we can.
while you're waiting to like do some stuff that you have to take care of at home this morning, and I'm trying to avoid writing stuff for the holidays, I thought we'd jump on video for a minute, and I want to hear on video your take on the new Kindle Paperwhite and the new Kindle Fires. And you worked for Borders for years and years and years, and you actually shared with us long before they announced bankruptcy that you had a sense that that was going to happen, and you were spot on. And you've actually called in advance a lot of the changes we've seen in the ebook market. So if there's anybody who knows books and ebooks and all this stuff, it's Carly Z. So what do you think what Amazon just did? Big deal, not a big deal, really excited, not so excited? What do you think?
I'm excited about them. I think one of the most intriguing parts of the announcement was the part where they basically flat out said, "We sell hardware to sell content. We don't actually care about our hardware prices." Because while everyone sort of said for a long time Amazon doesn't care about hardware prices, they just want to sell content, they've never really flat out said, "Listen, let's get real. We're not actually doing this for the hardware." Because I think that was important only because it really emphasizes to their competition, we can go as low as we need to go. We'll start giving the Kindles away if we have to. The whole idea here is to sell it
for a second. So, but they didn't do that with the Kindle. I mean, I actually half expected to see the super inexpensive Kindle go down to next to nothing. Just because if they were to flood the market with free Kindles for 6 months, they would capture a huge additional percentage of the market. Now, I don't know if that's legal or not. Maybe that's dumping.
I'm not sure I'm not sure exactly how that works as far as the legality, things like that. I think the other issue that you have though is that you don't want to make the free Kindle, the free Kindle, the $69 Kindle is really, really good.
Right.
But you want to also give people an incentive to buy the slightly nicer one. If you're bothering to subsidize the hardware, you want people to use the hardware. And I think the risk that they would run giving away the free Kindle would be that why would you buy the $120 one? Unless you really desire to backlight,
well, but
there's no benefit.
Why would I buy the $69 one? Why would I buy the $120 one when I'm buying the $69 one? Because you're saying the price difference is closer?
The price difference is a little closer because $69.
$50?
Yeah, for $50. So if it were 40 or $50, it's an impulse buy. At free, it's really hard to get people to justify buying anything unless it's like amazingly better. And the truth is, with ebook readers, it's more of an incremental improvement than it is a, oh my god, this is going to blow you away improvement. Yes, it's a higher resolution. Yes, it has the backlight and things like that, but it's still a device that lets you read.
Okay, so you're saying that the impulse buy would be the buy going from the 69 to the next level up.
Right.
I've got the $69 one in my cart. It's like, you know what? For $50 more, I can get a much better e-reader. Oh, why not?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. When you drop the price too low, then you're getting to the point of why would I pay the extra money when I could get a really good one for a lot cheaper. Okay. I think you have to kind of keep that balance in line because, and eventually you may get to that point where they'll start giving them away because eventually you'll see things like the Paperwhite technology and things like that trickle down to the lower level. And I think that's when you may see some more price drops and changes and things like that. But I think they need to walk a fine line because if they are bothering to develop this new technology and subsidize it, they want to give people an incentive to buy it.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's the ebook reader, and they've actually made their offerings in the actual specific ebook readers smaller than it had been. There are fewer of them.
Yes.
But they blew open the whole Kindle Fire thing. So what do you think about that?
I think that's, again, their attempt to control more of the media side of it. I think the original Kindle Fire was an experiment for them, just like the original Kindle was an experiment for them. If you think about it, the original Kindle was like, okay, I had an original Kindle, I liked it, but it was the ugliest gadget I think I've ever owned.
I had the original Kindle and I returned it because at that point the Sony hardware was so much nicer. And even though I hated the Sony bookstore, I hated the Kindle hardware. But the next generation came along and was like, oh, now they've got decent hardware.
Exactly. And I think that's what's happening here too. I mean, you can see the same pattern. It started with, okay, the original Kindle Fire was okay, it wasn't great, and now all of a sudden it's the same price, and it's the base model, and it's a much better device.
And
if you go up a little bit,
Kindle Fire,
right? than the
Which
original
goes
Kindle
along with
Fire.
your whole impulse buy thing. Oh, I'm going to buy the Kindle Fire now that it's not only 160 or 170 bucks. Oh, you know
Exactly.
what? Impulse. I'm going to spend a little more money and I'm going to get a much better tablet.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
do you think they're not expecting to sell a lot of the actual original Kindle Fires with the update?
I think that they're probably figuring they'll sell a few of them, and then eventually they can start slowly cutting the price, dumping them on eBay, things like that. I mean, they have their, or not eBay, because that's what Barnes & Noble does, but they have, what they can do is they can dump them on Woot, because they own, Amazon owns Woot now.
They do?
Yeah, they bought Woot a couple years ago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure.
Woot's actually carrying a bunch of Apple stuff on and off now.
Yeah, but double check me on that, but I'm pretty sure Amazon bought Woot a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, they're a behemoth company. I was reading a post yesterday. I mean, they actually are the back end for like some major companies that we deal with all the time, you know, online companies that we deal with all the time. So Amazon's fingers are in a lot more stuff than I think we realize.
Oh, yeah. They really are. And I think that the Kindle Fire almost, in many ways, really shows that. Because if you think about it, they own IMDb, and they're using that for the X-ray for the movies.
Right.
They own Audible, and they're using that for the immersive reading.
Right.
All of the different ways that they've picked up all these disparate companies over the years, and they're bringing them all into the fold.
Gotcha. So are you buying any of them?
I am probably at some point going to pick up a Paperwhite Kindle.
Why?
Because for me, I like reading. I have a Kindle keyboard, and it's worked great. And I haven't seen the need to upgrade to one of the touch Kindles because my Kindle still works. It reads books. At some point, I'm really intrigued by the Paperwhite ones. I want to check them out. I want to see how it looks. And I think that I'll probably end up picking up one of those just because they're really cool looking and I like the idea of the backlight. But I probably will not pick up a Fire or anything like that. I have an iPad. I'm very happy with it. Sarah was intrigued by the new Kindle Fires because she loves her.
She actually gets excited about technology at all now. That's awesome.
Yes, and Sarah loves her Kindle Fire. Loves it. But she flat out said, listen, my current Kindle Fire works great. I don't need to replace it. So if at some point she changes her mind, I could see her getting very excited about the next generation Kindle Fire. And I think she's an interesting example of the market for the Kindle Fire because she is not interested in playing with a lot of apps. She's not interested in doing a lot of hard, heavy lifting, but she loves that she can read a book. She's been carrying it around the house all weekend as we've been doing some cleaning. And everywhere she goes, she sets up the Kindle Fire, she fires up a TV show, and she's very happy. And yes, she could do that with an iPad and Netflix, but it's so much easier and so much cleaner on the Kindle Fire for her because it's all right there in her carousel. She can find everything she needs quickly, and she's thrilled. It's the best gadget she's ever owned.
See, it's interesting. So Judy, I think, initially was going to order the Paperwhite, and then she said, you know what, I'm very happy with my current Kindle. She uses it to read all the time. I'm not going to do it. I've got the last generation cheapo Kindle, but I've also got a Kindle Touch. So the Kindle Touch is actually my reading Kindle. This is actually my rabbi's manual now.
Nice.
So this actually stays in the car, and it actually is the same size, and I get very few people being shocked. I did a wedding yesterday, and somebody just came up and said, oh, that's my first Kindle wedding. But that's the extent of the comments. So I was going to buy the Paperwhite, and it's like, you know what? I don't read in bed all that much, and when I do read in bed, I read on my iPhone. So I had ordered the 7-inch Kindle Fire, the new one, the HD, and then I canceled it because I was like, you know what? Apple's making their announcements on Wednesday. I know that when the iPad mini eventually comes, I'm going to get one of those, and I'm going to get the new iPod Touch just because I want to have it access for reviewing stuff. I canceled the order. I actually reordered it. And the reason I reordered it is I actually watched Bezos on the keynote video, and I want to check out the technology in the Kindle Fire HD as compared to the iPad. And it's the least expensive way for me to check out the technology because Amazon put the same technology in both the 7 and the 8.9 inch.
Right.
And some of the technology is actually pretty interesting. The dual Wi-Fi radios, the MIMO is really interesting. Having dual speakers is really interesting. I mean, it's the one thing I loved about the BlackBerry Playbook is that the sound coming from the tablet was so far superior. But I'm also suddenly finding myself using Amazon's content a lot more than I was.
Yeah.
Last night I watched this movie that Judy and Kevin had just watched, and Judy recommended, called The Burrowers. It's really freaky. Don't watch it late at night alone.
Okay.
But I'm watching a lot more Amazon Prime Video. I'm using Amazon's music service a lot more. I actually am in the process of downloading my iTunes Match songs that I don't keep locally to upload them to Amazon because Amazon's work so much better on every device now. including Apple's devices. So, I mean, for me, Apple continues to win the hardware war, but Amazon is winning the content war. And I think that's what the new fires are.
I agree, and I think what's interesting about this is that you mentioned Borders and their bankruptcy at the beginning of this, and if you think about it, the reasons why Borders went bankrupt was that they lost touch with their customer base. It wasn't ebooks that killed Borders; it's that they kept trying to play catch up with everybody else, and lost track of what exactly is our mission here. Amazon is very clearly focused. Our mission is we're going to push content. Our mission is we're going to provide content in every aspect of these people's lives. Anything media-related, music, movies, books, we have an answer for them. And I think that, in many ways, that's what makes Amazon such a huge threat, and I think that's also what makes Amazon such a huge threat to Barnes & Noble. Because if you look at Barnes & Noble's offerings, I think that they have strong offerings on the ebook reader side, but when you get to the Nook tablets and things like that, the whole thing falls apart. You need a separate subscription to Netflix to get the same functionality out of a Nook tablet that you do out of a Kindle Fire. You need to buy your own apps just on the Nook tablet. They're not going to be available anywhere else. Everything you do is sort of centered solely into Barnes & Noble's little universe, whereas Amazon is able to say, well, if you have the Amazon App Store and you have an Android phone, you can buy it for your Kindle Fire and you have it for your phone. If you buy it for your Kindle, you're reading it on 12 different devices. If you download music from us, it's DRM free and we'll put it on whatever device you want. We don't care.
Right.
There's just more flexibility there. And I think that's something that Barnes & Noble is going to have to learn to address in order to stay competitive. I would not be surprised if Barnes & Noble tries to leverage their partnership with Microsoft to give a little bit more incentive to the Nook tablet offerings.
Because Microsoft is having win after win these days.
Exactly. But, yeah. The thing is, they need something. Right. They need a way to go from, we also have this really cool tablet that seems to get a lot of press only because you can hack it into an Android tablet.
Right.
And they need to find a way to bridge that because their ebook reader offerings are going to stay competitive. I mean, they're going to people who like Barnes & Noble. And they're going to continue to buy books from Barnes & Noble and buy ebook readers from Barnes & Noble.
Who cares?
But, and I think that's the thing, is that they're always going to remain a distant number two because they don't have the depth of offerings that Amazon does. And the few times that they've tried to create that depth of offering, they've pulled back a little bit. They haven't really, they've created a Nook App Store, but they haven't really done a lot with it. And I think part of that may also be the cautionary tale of Borders. Because when Borders was expanding into DVDs and music and devoting half their stores to those things, Barnes & Noble still only had a very small section.
Right.
So when the DVD market popped and everybody stopped buying DVDs and CDs, Borders was stuck with huge sections of stores that were useless, and Barnes & Noble already had a smaller section. Didn't hurt them at all.
Gotcha.
And I think that same cautiousness is why you don't see the same competitiveness in the Nook tablet, and why I think if they do try to bring that competitiveness in, they're going to look to Microsoft or somebody else to bring it in. They're not going to take that risk themselves because they've stayed very focused on our core business is books. That is our sole core business. Everything else we do is in service of selling more books. They're a little bit more focused than Amazon, but it's a similar idea of we have a core focus and this is what we're going to stick with.
Gotcha. All right, here's my last question. This occurred to me yesterday. All the rumors now are that Apple is not going to announce the iPad mini on Wednesday, that they have one, but it will probably be a separate event so that Apple doesn't take away from their own excitement and press coverage. What occurred to me yesterday was that made perfect sense until Amazon's announcement of the new Kindle Fires.
Yeah.
And my question for you is, because we don't do rumors and we don't do predictions, but I want you to do one anyway.
Okay.
Do you think what Amazon did last week opens the door even a little bit to Apple moving up their time frame on announcing the iPad mini?
I do. Because I think if they don't have an iPad mini out by Christmas, people are going to start looking to the Kindle Fire because one of the reasons why an iPad mini is attractive is that presumably it would be a lower price point than the iPad. It's smaller, it's more portable. That speaks to a different market than the larger iPad. If they don't have an answer to that, but their primary competitor, Amazon, has an answer to that, it's really cheap. You can get Amazon gift cards off of just about any credit card rewards in the world. Oh, suddenly, I mean, so you're sitting there and you're thinking, okay, I want to get, my 15-year-old something bigger than an iPod Touch. They want some sort of tablet to watch movies, and now the Kindle Fire has a camera, they want to Skype, they want to watch YouTube, things like that. I don't really want to hand them a $400 or $500 tablet. They're just not mature enough for that. So get them a $200 Fire. Use your credit card points, get it down to $100. It's $100 out of your pocket.
Apple has an issue. The
Exactly.
7-inch Fire, if it was only the larger one, they're not shipping until November 20th.
Right.
So they're coming in Thanksgiving time.
Right.
The 7-inch is coming on Friday.
Exactly. And if the reviews are halfway decent, that's a lot of pressure on Apple now because there's a whole market that's going to go, yeah, a smaller tablet would be nice.
So Mini announced this Wednesday with the iPhone. The following week pushed up a little bit, the week after that, or they'll still give themselves the next month of distance. What do you think?
I think the thing is Apple is so particular about how they make announcements. If you think about it, they pulled out of Macworld because they were tired of having to be on Macworld's schedule with when they were announcing devices. I could see them saying, we're still going to do it on our own schedule. We're not going to let Amazon pressure us into rolling this out sooner than we wanted to.
Let me interrupt.
But I don't.
Except one of the things that we actually learned from the legal case with Samsung is that Apple actually watches the competition and adjusts much more than people gave them credit for.
Mm-hmm.
So they want the illusion that they don't care, and that's garbage.
They care a lot. They care a lot about Amazon. I think that they are going to make sure they have if there really is an iPad Mini in the works, I'm sure they will have it out before Thanksgiving because they don't. I'm sorry?
When's it announced? I'm going to push you on this.
Beginning of October.
Beginning of October?
Beginning of October. If the new iPhone comes out at the end of September, say probably a week later, the iPad Mini gets announced. Okay. And my guess is if they announce it, they're going to announce it and say it's available the same day. They're not going to announce it and have it for pre-order. I think that they're just going to announce it and push it out there because that's going to generate more buzz. If you announce it and you get it into people's hands the same day, a couple weeks before the Kindle Fires are really propagating,
right,
then you steal the buzz and you still get to announce on your terms.
All right, I'm going to hold you to that.
All right, we'll see if I'm right.
I'm going to have the Kindle Fire 7-inch here. I'm going to get it to you and Sarah sometime next week because I want Sarah to do a non-geeky gadget person's comparison between what she's using the first generation and that one.
Okay.
And then maybe we'll get her to jump on video with us.
We'll see what we can do.
All right, this was a quick chat. This is Dan.
And this is Carly.
Thanks for watching.